I woke up from a coma and was horrified to discover that there was actually a wild beast licking my face right next to me. I pulled off my damaged goggles and got a clear view of what was in front of me, but I stared wide-eyed in terror, nearly fainting from fright again. On the barren cliff face, I was like a tiny ant trapped about 30 feet from the top. The height was at least over 3,000 feet. I looked up in despair and discovered my parachute was caught on a dead tree that looked ready to collapse at any moment. The situation was critical. I immediately turned around to prepare for self-rescue. First, I pulled out my knife, then I took off my shoe and stabbed the knife through it. I pulled out more knives from my chest, and then pushed off hard with both feet, swinging up into the air and using the momentum to drive the knife into the cliff face. Using both hands and feet like this, I climbed upward with great difficulty. Although this method was exhausting, as long as nothing went wrong, I could slowly make my way to the top of the cliff, but I had only climbed about 10 feet when the thin knife couldn't support my weight anymore and suddenly snapped in half. This caused me to slide straight down the cliff face and fall back to where I started. Even worse, this impact caused the fragile dead tree to start breaking at the roots. In this life or death moment, pushing against the cliff with my toes while gripping my knife and frantically cutting the parachute cords. Finally, just as the dead tree was falling, I cut through the parachute and successfully escaped disaster without the parachute to anchor me. I could only press myself tightly against the cliff face, unable to move. Just when I was in despair, that mountain goat from before suddenly bleated as if giving me a hint. I looked up and saw the goat bracing its front and back legs on either side of a crack in the cliff, easily climbing up the smooth. I instantly felt hope for survival ignite within me again. Mustering all my courage, I let go of my grip and lunged toward the other side, and my height was just right to wedge myself across it. Although it looked extremely dangerous, it was very effective. After a brief rest, I gathered all my strength and began inching my way upward bit by bit. Following the crack, I climbed up to a small protruding ledge. I realized that although this spot was only 6 to 9 feet from the top, just then, the fragile ledge suddenly began to collapse, giving me no time to think of a solution. In this critical moment, I could only instinctively turn around and step on the goat's back, used all 4 limbs to leap to the cliff edge. Just as I was about to reach the top, a fierce-looking ram suddenly appeared in front of me and charged straight at me, nearly knocking me off the cliff. I was both anxious and angry, and when the ram was about to charge again, I decisively let go with both hands and grabbed hold of its horns tightly. But unexpectedly, it didn't frantically ram me off the edge. Instead, it used its legs to pull me backward along with it. I stared foolishly at the ram, unable to believe it had saved me. I made a silent vow that from now on, I would never eat mutton again.